G'day. So I've wanted to make a new video about making cordage for a while now, and I'm lucky enough to be out here. We've got bush in our property. We've got all these nice natural cordage making materials, all these rushes and such. But a lot of people are stuck at home, so I thought I'd make a video making cordage out of something that everybody has. So I've already made one actually about how to make it out of toilet paper, one of my older videos, not that good, but I thought I'd show today just how to make some cordage out of some old clothes. So this is just an old t-shirt I have. Anyway, I'll show you how to turn this into cordage, and it's a great way to practice, and it makes it easy to see a lot of the basic techniques of cordage making just because it's nice and big. And anyway, I'll show you how to do it. So you want to start off by cutting into as long strips as possible. You can actually just tear it up as well. Only trick is you want it a fairly even width. So this is even enough. It'll work for the purposes. A few strips cut up. This should be enough for what we're doing now. And just to make this video a little bit different, I want to show the front-on perspective how to make it, and also my perspective, so you have a really good understanding of how it actually works. I'm going to show you the mistakes that are commonly made and what to avoid, the sort of mistakes that I made when I first started. So I'll show you how it's done first, explain that, and then towards the end of the video I'll just show you the sort of mistakes that people often make. Also, it's good to watch videos like this. There's a lot of good ones on YouTube. Check out Dave Canterbury's channel or Bushcraft Survival Australia, some really good stuff. But something you should be doing if you're watching these videos is actually to practice along with the video. Don't just watch the video and think, okay, I have the idea, I can do it. Try and just do it along with the video, and then you can sort of compare how yours looks versus in the video. And yeah. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to start with two strips of cloth. So this is a cotton t-shirt. So what we're going to do is fold it in half. So it's about half. But then we actually want to offset a little bit, so one side's longer than the other. And we'll get to that and why we do that in a minute. So you start off by twisting. So you'll grasp with your left and right hand, and you're pinching it with your thumb and pointing finger. So you're going to spin it towards you with your left hand till it's nice and tight. So imagine you're wringing out a wet rag. So actually, I'm at a creek. So alright, so now it's actually wet. So look, I'm going to spin this bit towards me and this away from me and keep the tension as I do. So I'm going to spin it. You can see the water's coming out now. Keep spinning it until it's nice and tight, and then it's going to want to form a little kink like that. So you want to take the kink in your left hand and you're going to pinch the kink. Now with my right hand, so from this perspective, so once the kink's formed, the one that's on top and also away from you is the one that we're going to start with. So we're pinching the kink with your left hand, and with the right you're going to twist the top away from you, again like you're wringing out water, until it's nice and tight. So twisting till it's nice and tight. Now you're keeping the tension on that, and then with your middle finger you're going to grab this like so, and you're going to pinch it between these two fingers. So I'm going to pinch that, and then I'm going to bring the whole thing back towards me, which will be counterclockwise. So, and now once you do that, now that we've started to actually make a bit of a spiral happening. As you do that, you move your left hand along and pinch further up. So I started off pinching here, now I'm pinching here a little bit further up. We want to have a little left over for when we splice. We don't want to run out of material. We want this to bind with the new piece so it actually has a bit of strength, so it's already got a root in the rope, so to speak. Okay, so when we splice, we're always adding to the top piece, and it's also we're adding to the piece that needs it basically, and that's this piece because it's not along. But to splice it, we want it at the top, so we just get it at the top like we like we normally do, like this. Okay, and now the piece we need, the shorter piece, is at the top, and now we can splice with it, so you need it at the top. So I actually learnt this technique of splicing from one of Dave Canterbury's videos on YouTube, really worth a look. And this is also how I was taught to splice on the survival course I did, so I'll put a link in the description to both of those. And so you're splicing onto one piece, which is the shortest, but a little bit of it is actually going onto the short bit, like that. Alright, so now we've got a nice little thin piece to work with, and that'll make it a bit better. So, again, when we splice, we need to do it to the top piece. Now, what we want to do is put it over the top. We have a little tag going over to the bit we're not splicing it to, and then this goes to the top piece. Now, like always, we twist it away from us, so it's nice and tight, like we're wringing out water. Then pinch with your index finger, with your middle finger to your index finger, and twist everything back towards you, like so. It's nice and tight. And now you can't see actually where it was joined. There you go. So I'll continue on, and I'll show you from the other perspective. Like so. Now, this method is good. I've seen survival instructors do it, so obviously it's good. The only issue that beginners might have with it, it's a bit harder to keep the thickness. So even though I tapered it down, you see that's still a bit thicker than the other piece. So it's also because it's wet. So, and because it's wet and this bit is dry, it's a little bit more puffed up. This is a bit more easily compressed because it's wet. But anyway, you get the idea. I'll just show you a couple more things. So yeah, the benefit of this is there's no tag sticking out, so nothing you have to cut off at the end. And yeah, you can just continue like this indefinitely. You can get a very long piece of cord. So you basically just continue on like that, and then you end up with a decent length of cordage. It's quite strong. Not faking, it's very, very strong. Yeah, it's because it's fairly even all the way along. Nice and tightly spun, so it all supports each other and distributes the weight along the full length. Here are two mistakes that are often made. They actually are sort of interrelated, so I'll show you the first one. The first one is not actually twisting it enough with your right hand. So I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so you can see on the left, hang on, I'll put it on my leg. So on the left over here, this is nice and tight, very firm, and if you poke it, it's kind of hard. So this towards the right, I actually didn't twist it enough. And because you don't twist it enough, all the fibers don't compress together and become tight, and you just have it like this. Look, it's quite soft, and that's nowhere near as strong because, well, because all the fibers aren't bracing each other to stop it from breaking. You can see the other common mistake. So to start off, I made it nicely. These are quite even thickness, and because they're even thickness, they're both spun about the same tightness, so they sort of wrap around each other in a nice coil fashion, and they support each other. So when tension's placed upon the rope, it's not really hitting any one point because it's being distributed along the whole length. So these are going to support each other when pulled. But over here, this is because the thickness is different. This one is one strand, and this one is a thicker piece, well, a wider piece, and it's two strand. And because of that, this one rolls up, and this one sort of ends up wrapping around it, almost like it's a snake. So rather than each wrapping around each other quite evenly, the thick one ends up sort of in the middle, and it barely wraps around the thinner one, and the thinner one sort of just wraps around that like it's a snake going up a tree or something. So that's the other mistake. In other words, you want to keep the thickness of each of the two pieces you're working with quite even. So if I was doing that, so if you're doing this at home, or even if you're doing it with a natural material like this mat rush over here, you could cut this piece off and use it later. So if you made a mistake, keep in mind, if you do make a mistake like this, you don't continue making the cord. You go back, fix the mistake, or start over, because you can now make this, so it's not a huge problem because this is at the end, but if you make this rope 20 meters long, if you've got time, this is always going to be a weak point no matter how long it is. So you either go back and fix the mistake, or you've got a rope with a weak point. And that's okay when you start out. It's sometimes good to actually leave the mistakes in and continue along, and then you can see the difference. But if you need a rope that's for a purpose, you don't want to leave it like this.